2016, every member of Baylor University's athletic department received the same memo. Subject line: your duty to report allegations of sexual misconduct. 13 days earlier, Baylor had announced the firing of football coach Art Briles and the reassignment of President Ken Starr, after releasing explosive details from the Pepper Hamilton investigation into how the university handled sexual assault claims against football players. 5 days after the Briles news, Baylor athletic director Ian McCall resigned. 2 days after McCall's resignation, Starr announced his own resignation. The most successful stretch in Baylor football history, the Bears went 50-15 from 2011 to 2015, couldn't save Briles, McCall or Starr. It sent a signal to athletic departments around the country. We tried to take the Baylor thing head-on, Baylor athletic director Fred Glass said. Glass began his all-staff memo by referring to the recent infamous situation at Baylor. He then issued a warning: please know that any failure to properly report potential sexual misconduct and or any attempt to investigate or otherwise deal with a potential sexual misconduct allegation outside of this is a warning sign. This is what you do if this happens. We try to educate them as much as we possibly can on everything. Florida State began revising its education procedures even before Briles was fired, following several high-profile cases involving Seminoles football players accused of sexual assault and domestic violence, including Jameis Winston and Dalvin Cook between 2013 and 2015. University President John Thrasher got involved, and there are now mandatory programs in place that address character building and interpersonal violence. Fisher has invited a wide variety of female and male speakers, including former NFL running back Ray Rice, who was caught on video punching his fiancée in 2014. In the nearly 2 years since Florida State revamped its education procedures, it has had one player arrested for domestic violence. Running back Mario Pedro was immediately dismissed from the team after his arrest in May 2016. Brenda Tracy, shown here with Nebraska coach Mike Riley, has been a tireless advocate for sexual assault awareness and prevention, speaking to numerous college football teams. Twitter/@BreedaTracy24. We're seeing a lot of discussion about how to stay out of trouble. We're telling these guys what not to do, how to avoid a Title IX case. You have lawyers come in. It doesn't work. And it shouldn't work, Tracy said. We need to start talking to our men about what they need to do. We need to inspire them. We need to talk about character and behavior and masculinity and consent. We need to talk to them about respecting women and themselves. Their behavior matters. They're on the biggest stage in the country. What's also clear is education cannot end with a guest speaker or a 20-minute talk about Title IX. Nor must it exist in big group settings. Programs are getting more creative with the way they deliver the information. Virginia Tech Athletic Director Whit Babcock notes, I don't believe that the message works as well when it's just done at the beginning of the year with compliance and one person up there like a professor teaching. We try to Liz got fired at Minnesota. Those are two very different cases, but both of them center around how these guys handled or didn't handle or mishandled sexual assault allegations. Accountability on the highest level is one thing that will make a change. Briles didn't lose his job because of the awful things his players did or are accused of doing. He lost it because of what he did or didn't do after receiving information about possible sexual assaults. As university employees, every college coach is a mandatory Title IX reporter and must alert the university of any information or suspicion of sexual assault and harassment. The coach must immediately remove himself or herself from the equation. The thing we repeatedly stress is, it doesn't matter how the information gets to you, you have the obligation, Notre Dame Athletic Director Jack Swarbrick said. You may hear the conversation between two players in the locker room. You have to act on it. People understand it's an absolute. It isn't always so easy. Coaches are often among the first to know when any off-field incidents occur, and they usually remain involved until there's a conclusion. Given how they grew up and how they were coached, sometimes through the absolute best of intentions, they try to conduct their own investigation, Glass said. Let's try to find out what happened with Jim. Let's maybe talk to Jane. The Baylor scandal reassured coaches who immediately report everything they hear. It also reminded coaches who do not just how much risk they are absorbing. Since Baylor, Smith has seen coaches and others in Texas's athletic department rapidly alerting the Title IX office of any potential issues. Anything that smells like it could be like sexual harassment or sexual assault, she said, is forwarded immediately. If something happens, then there's a protocol that's in place, and you make sure you hand it off, Swai said. You get the heck out of the way. I'm a football coach. You let the proper people handle that. That's all you can do. Football programs are prioritizing prevention as coaches remove themselves from the investigatory process. They are ramping up their efforts about sexual assault prevention and awareness after Baylor. Shaw, the only FBS coach to serve on the NCAA's Commission to Combat Campus Sexual Violence, has urged his colleagues to set strong examples for their players. An integral part is how they treat the women who work in and around their football programs. Shaw specifically cautions colleagues about their use of recruiting hostess programs, saying coaches cannot talk about gender equality and promote groups that are less than equal and not respected. In January, a former Baylor recruiting hostess filed a Title IX lawsuit alleging that Baylor football coaches encouraged women in the Baylor Bruins hostess program to have sex with recruits and players. If we want our young people to learn something, we can't just teach it to them, we have to live it for them, Shaw said. They have to know it's important to me. They have to know this is a priority. A phrase I've started saying to them is, real men have difficult conversations. They don't avoid them. And this is a difficult conversation. Big Sky Commissioner Andrea Williams, who serves on the NCAA Commission with Shaw and Tracy, said it's vital that the head coach, assistants and football administrators model the same behavior for players to follow. It goes back to accountability, Williams said. If players know their assistant coach is going to put sunshine on it, if their team captain is going to put sunshine on it, if that second compliance director is going to put sunshine on it, they are going to behave in a different way. Sexual assault was part of the conversation in January at the American Football Coaches Association convention in Nashville. The AFCA invited Tracy to address the general session, attended by several thousand coaches from all levels of the sport. It's a societal problem, it isn't just a football program, but I do think football can take a huge lead, AFCA President Todd Berry said. Anytime something has more attention, you're going to spend a little bit more time on it. Certainly this has national attention. What's next? Those interviewed agree incremental progress has been made, but there is much more work ahead. Last year, the NCAA published the Sexual Violence Prevention Toolkit. The Commission to Combat Sexual Violence is working on recommendations. Baseline requirements could be coming, which Commission members Tracy and Shaw think are necessary. Every university should be held accountable and have something where they can say, hey, this is what we've done to help our people, Shaw said. That should be something that's there anyway, but at some point, we will need some kind of legislation to say, we're not going to tell you specifically what to do, but you have to be able to show all of us you care about this, you're making it a priority, you're teaching your young people. Luther wants universities to be even more open about the education they provide their students, coaches, athletes and staff. One of the things I think is still a problem is the struggle for transparency around education and what is actually changing within athletic departments, Luther said. It's really hard to get at that from the outside. There's encouraging signs that they understand that this is an issue and they need to figure out how to deal with it, but it's not always clear what they are doing to deal with it. Though some schools have zero-tolerance policies when it comes to sexual assault and domestic violence, there also are schools more willing to give out second chances to players who have been accused of crimes. Mississippi State was heavily criticized last year for allowing recruit Jeffrey Simmons to enroll despite video showing him hitting a woman during a brawl. Simmons was suspended one game and ended up playing as a true freshman. Florida Atlantic accepted junior college transfer DeAndre Johnson even though he was caught on video punching a woman while he was a student at Florida State. Johnson is currently competing for the starting quarterback job. Oklahoma coach Bob Stoops and athletic director Joe Castiglio were widely criticized for the way they handled running back Joe Mixon, who was suspended for the 2015 season after punching a woman in the face. Mixon returned in 2016 to rush for 1,274 yards and 10 touchdowns and was recently selected in the NFL draft. In December, Stoops admitted if the incident had happened today, dismissal is really the only thing that is possible. I do see him looking at this issue differently, said Tracy, who has spoken at Oklahoma and considers Stoops a friend but criticized him when the video of Mixon punching the woman went public in December. I believe that he is rethinking things, and that's important. We need to start valuing these coaches who are saying, this is the way we did it for years and years and years. It's time to change and I'm changing, too. We should support them. If you got rid of every coach who made a bad decision on a player, how many coaches would be left? Coaches and administrators throughout college athletics say they are committed to change. But it is easy to talk about the issues when major problems aren't on their campuses. We've made changes, but we have to do better, Williams said. It's a process. From an NCAA and college athletics standpoint, we probably move slower than the rest of the world would like us to, but this is such an important topic, that we have to get at it the right way. What we were doing 5, 10, 20 years ago, that's not okay protocol. I believe we're all committed to making a change. Now it's all about how do we do that.